So, why would they worry about what Donald Trump talk and the possible consequences if eventually Donald Trump raid or invade Nigeria? Guess what? That is to kill the bandits. Guess what they happen? Now, a lot of other narratives and don't they go on. First, I will tell you two stories. One, now the story of a particular man will be a chairman Austrian committee for NATO enlargement for inside Austria, Ukraine, Kosovo, Bosnia, EU, and other countries within near them. This man, he named Naguntha Felinga Jan. He don't come out, come talk, say, waiting. Donald Trump, he tag and go with the full chest. Say, in anything you're doing, ensure you also give Biafra their secession. In all of this that's happening. People are like, is this a joke to you? Now, this is also pointing back at the marginalization of the Southeasterners that they have been crying for before now. And people are saying that this is a good time for a foreigner to even say this kind of thing because lots of Nigerians are on his comment section and are also talking. Say, first of all, now, so you don't support people for India before. Now you don't come to support this kind of thing for Nigeria. And people are just worried about how far this is going. Now, when Nigeria did for the center, for the eyes of the world, now a good time to post this. Now see what he posted. He said, I call to never forget the victims of the genocide against good people of Biafra. The genocide against the good people of Biafra killed by Nigerians oligarchs, backed by British and French imperial oil interests. That's what he said. He said, we must apologize by recognizing or by the recognition of Biafra Republic. What is going on now? And then a tag. First of all, he tagged Radio Biafra. Where he sent the Kano the handle. Then he tweeted again and said, Biafra Republic is a beautiful new state emerging out of failed, corrupt ex-Nigeria. I love Biafra. You should too. Then he tagged the president of the United States of America, Donald Trump. And people are worrying, like, oh, these foreign people, what's your interest in all of this? Before I go on to the main matter or other matters I want to tell you, now make it also quickly let you know, as Ibi say, U.S Congressman Riley Moore just decided, say, now our own a whole Rabbi Musa Kwankwaso, the head of the Kwankwasia movement, now he go give buzz boost. Because it be like saying that time to give everybody left, right, and center. So say Kwankwaso tweeted yesterday and talked about waiting they happen, the ultimatum where Ibi say the U.S. don't give, Donald Trump don't give. And God they talk how Nigerian a sovereign state, say U.S. instead of them to say they go invade us, they're supposed to work on ways to help us to fight terrorism. We'll be waiting, we don't fight and all that. Guess what? U.S. Congressman, one of those where he said Donald Trump called, made an act on this matter. Rep. Riley Moore. Him, exactly. He can't see Kwankwaso tweet. Guess what? He dig out evidence. He said, first of all, Governor, do you care to comment on your own complicity in the death of Christians? That is, say, Kwankwaso, they complicit for the death of Christians. You instituted Sharia law. You signed the law that makes so-called blasphemy a punishable offense by death. How about that one? You care to talk about them? Guess what you do? See, these Oyibo people sometimes, if they won't do things, they go just they wonder how did they gather the evidence. This man brought a screenshot of how Sharia law was pushed into Kano State in the year 2000 when Kwankwaso was the governor. He pushed him forward. I never hear Oga Kwankwaso response. When I see a response, I go come back and tell her. But at the meantime, make waka enter inside a Rise Television, my people, where it be so Sam Amadi don't cool down, president shaking together, give Nigerian government well on how they complicit and how they don't fail Nigerians, especially for these whole things when they happen. See, if not be say them fail Nigerians, Nigeria for need to face this kind of embarrassment for the face of the world generally. You need to pay attention to waiting on Sam Amadi talk. I think it's very important that we all pay attention to what he said. And then make we begin look whether maybe Nigerian government could hear this thing when talk and then live in their reality instead of living in this denial we would they live in. Because a lot of people feel say Nigerian government, they live in denial. They're just trying to like deflect the conversation around the killing of Christians or the killing of any part of the Nigeria at all. Whether not Christians, whether not Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, they die. People are dying. Whether not Muslims, people are dying. And should people keep dying when states get the resources to make sure say they stop their people to die, and something will be saying that within their constitutional empowerment to stop, why has it been impossible for them to do it? Go and watch what Dr. Sam Amadi said this afternoon on Arise Television. Take a watch.
So quickly, the condition for being classified as country of particular concern is not necessarily that you are guilty of genocide. I mean, claims of genocide have become politicized. We saw with Gaza, we saw with several cases. And so, whereas you might not meet the technical definition of genocide, the criteria in the U.S. International Religious Freedom Act is clear. One, that the country has a structural and systematic violation of the religious freedom of its citizens. And there are incidents of failure of states to protect the religious rights of citizens. So once you meet those criteria, whether it's genocide or not, the U.S. government can prioritize. It's a foreign policy tool to say, we place you on this area, and because of that, we might treat you differently, so, AIDS and all kinds of preferential treatment. But look at it more critically. Nigeria has failed to deal with the issue, very clear structural issues of violation of religious rights. I mean, one of the cardinal points around freedom of religion is that people should never be, victimized for religious belief. So when you see people targeted, for example, issues of blasphemy, people are stoned to death in a brutal manner for expressing fair speech because people think it's offend their religion, then the state does nothing. You cannot escape that there's persecution of religious people in that state. I mean, China also forced into this. People forget that the same way Nigeria was classified, China is classified on account of what is being done to a particular Muslim sect in China and across the world. So if I was a foreign policy advisor in the U.S. desk, and I used to be a foreign policy advisor in Nigeria under Yar'Adua, I would look at the circumstances and I would likely place Nigeria on that list because that's about facts about how the state has responded to actions against citizens based on religious belief. Look at the killings in the Middle Belt. Communities sacked, Christians. Look at the video of priests, pastors, bishops testifying to how their congregation were killed and the state does not intervene to prosecute, to remedy, to compensate and protect. So that even violates Nigerian obligation under international law, duty to protect. So in many counts, Nigeria is guilty, maybe not of genocide,
but of other issues. How would you assess the uproar that we've seen in responding to this, considering that insecurity is what Nigerians are asking to be resolved? But it almost seems as though the response is trying to create a blanket over our reality.
I think Nigerian leadership is well known for lying against itself. I mean, Nigerian leaders like to prevaricate, deflect, and not address the issue. There's a clear failure of the Nigerian state to deal with what I call it generalizing security, terror by Islamic militants and so on. They have failed to do that. Okay, record under Jonathan, some of these people, high place, were saying attack against Boko Haram is an attack against our faith, on record. And so even when the executive people came to help the country, they said, no, stop killing them. And that's why Hejika was removed, and that's why we have removed several senior officers who are making progress in decimating this group that are alleging are killing more Muslims. So the question is, if these guys are killing more Muslims than Christians, why should a country tolerate? So first is hypocrisy. Second, that religion has become a prime instrument of political power. So many Nigerians are more committed, Nigerian leaders more committed to the triumph of religious sect than their country. And that's why the Nigerian leadership continuously fails. So this is an important opportunity that, it's part of Trump's intention, or we don't care about it, tell people in the Middle Belt, all they want is safety. And so since Nigeria has proved very reliably incapable or unwilling, I mean, look at the ragtag people driving motorcycle. Do they look like people who can hold a country like Nigeria with such military for over 8 years, hold us captive? If we can't deal with it, then allow the Marines to come and get them out. You see? So Nigerian government itself should be very clear that they really want to knock off these Islamic terrorists, wherever they're coming from, whether from Senegal or whatever. They need to want to knock them off and not try to say, oh, leave us, we're not doing badly, and then they're saying, oh, America wants to get oil. That's not true. This country has failed itself in dealing with terrorism, and that is more bigger than the question of genocide. Why should a lady be killed for free speech, no prosecution?
We saw that happen. We saw that happen. We saw that happen.
Exactly.
We saw that happen.
And for those like Wike we talk this evening, say, oh, Trump, instead of you to invade us, why not give us, share intelligence with us and do this? Guess what? I go play you a video right away to show how Nigerian government use classified intelligence information to terrorists. And all of these things no fit dey happen make the United States and other people no know. According to this statement, make una go watch am.
And let's be clear, President Trump had actually called out Nigeria face to face with Buhari in 2018 when they met. The difference is Trump asked him nicely, stop the killing of Christians in Nigeria. It was direct engagement. And afterwards, they went back into the White House and they signed a trade agreement. So Trump was able to engage with him to resolve this issue and still do business with him. What has happened? After Trump left, the Democrats came in and they completely stopped an evaluation of Nigeria. And so, of course, when Trump came back, the situation had worsened since the last time that, he complained about it 7 years ago. And unfortunately, instead of addressing the issue, the Nigerian government started denying the facts. You see, when you are accused of stealing the goat meat, your response should not be, who would have stolen that kind of salty meat anyway? Because by your response, you admitted guilt. The Nigerian government, instead of saying, look, we are addressing the issue, this is what we have done, they say, it's not only Christians who are being killed, others are being killed. It's an admission of state failure. And this is why we are where we are now on this issue. But let me point out something very important. Trump has announced the designation, but then the next phase is sanctions. And I want to be clear that the first time sanctions were waived, and this time around it's not too late to waive sanctions. Now, let me just reassure listeners about the threat of military action. Laolu, you were the one as bureau chief of Guardian here in the US who reported exclusively that the U.S. military set up a base in Niger that was covering terrorism in Nigeria. You were the only one in the world to report it. Guess what? Those two bases that America had in Niger are now lost. They were closed after the coup. So America has lost its footprint in West Africa to conduct special operations. So what that has resulted in is that Boko Haram has actually increased its operational footprint and pathology. So the situation is worse. And I have to tell you this. I do not believe that President Trump is going to unleash any attacks on Nigeria for two reasons. One, historically, the U.S. military has been reluctant to fight side by side with the Nigerian government because they don't trust the Nigerian military. And one specific example is when they got intelligence on the location of the Chibok girls in the forest, they were cooperating with the Nigerian army under direction of President Obama. So the U.S. government told the Nigerian army that they would gas the camp where Boko Haram was with the girls and then knock everybody out so that they could rescue the girls safely without exchange of gunfire. After they mapped out this plan, the next thing that happened, when the troops got to the camp of Boko Haram, they saw Boko Haram wearing gas masks. So the U.S. realized that the Nigerian military had leaked the operational details to Boko Haram. This is why the U.S. does not want to work directly with Nigeria with boots on the ground because they do not trust the Nigerian army.
All right, my people, and I don't hear everything. Waiting on a think about this one with Sam Amadi talk. This comment by the U.S. Congressman to Kwankwaso or his response to Kwankwaso, and of course, waiting this Austrian person talk. Waiting you think about them. I would really like to take on a thought and reactions. Kindly drop your thoughts, your reactions here. I love you guys so much. See you next time. Bye.